Good afternoon, everyone. This is Christian with PerfectStockAlert.com, a 100% free service for smart investors and traders. Today is Thursday, September the 30th, 2010, and it's time to look at the markets. Okay, today we're going to start off looking at the Dow Jones Industrial Average. You've got a bearish divergence formation here, which is more timely than a bearish setup, which would be drawing those downtrends on low points. We'll talk about that. We have videos on our free website at perfectstockalert.com going over each one of them, what to tell you. So anyway, you've got the bearish divergence here. You've shown a downtrend here by momentum. Shows that's telling you that momentum is decreasing to the upside, yet price is still increasing to the upside. That's not good. It can't be sustained at that point. And you've already had a nice sell signal here, and you've bounced around and fought it for a while, and you've got another one as of today, same level ultimately, and you've got this uptrend line that we've told you to watch breaking through now. So all the signs are telling you this is the top. This is what you were looking for. This is what you're getting. A couple things to note here. Whenever price activity is moving along and doing this little number, you'll notice back here, no inverted hammer, no inverted hammer, okay, or no shooting star. That's telling you that they've removed that sell pressure that was here. Okay, you got one before, you ran up here and you got one, okay, and you sold off back in new low. This time you bounced up to the same level as before, but it wasn't there. Okay, it tells you to look for the move to go higher. It could still justify a move to go higher. So she pulls back a little bit, bounces up here, and goes a little bit higher. And again, no formation of that inverted hammer. It's something I don't actually like to see. And then we pull back down here, and we get this major bounce. Sorry. And we get that major bounce back up to the upside here. This time around, that sell pressure comes back into play right there and right there. Okay, you're getting those shooting stars or inverted hammer signals telling you there's major sell pressure there again. Also notice you're at the same level that you were before, and back here you didn't have it. Okay, sell pressure is increasing at this level. All right, yeah, all the signs are telling me the same thing. Let me clean that up for you guys. It's kind of messy. This is your top, and it's confirmed by the timing of the bearish divergence here, which is also confirmed by the RSI bearish divergence. As always, we have to point out you've also got three major gaps that are going to have to fill. I mean, price activity never traded at those points between the close of this candlestick and the low of this one, all right, as in these other cases as well. So price activity still has to pull back down and fill those positions, okay, those gaps like it did here. You had a gap right there, so the bounce up here was no big surprise, filling that gap right there, okay? Now that's gone, and you've got three below you, all right? Those are going to fill as well. Okay, here we are looking at the FTSE, London Financial Times Index. Watching this, guys, my gauge of what's going on over there in Europe. You can use other charts. I prefer the FTSE. Basically, you got more news today out of the Europe financial crisis. Spain got downgraded, which is kind of expected, and a lot bigger price tag on bailout of Ireland's bank, which is, whenever you do that, think it through. You started off with the financial crisis before it happened. Everybody got into debt. All the people went and bought everything they couldn't possibly afford at prices they couldn't possibly maintain, et cetera, et cetera. And then, this crash starts to happen. So the governments come out and they bail out their banks. Okay, they start paying this bills off. Well, basically what they're doing is they're taking all this debt from the banks and they're sticking it on the government, which is basically sticking it on the people. So they tell you that they're doing this because now the banks can lend. How are they going to lend? The people don't have any money. They don't have any credit. They've already maxed it. And now you've promised to tax them even more to pay for this bunch of debt that you've just taken from the banks. That doesn't make any sense at all. So now we're telling everybody we're going to rally back up to the previous '08 and '09, or the '08, the '07 highs. That doesn't make any sense. Your market is based on an economy that is, sorry, that is driven 70% by consumers, and these consumers have no more money and no more availability to credit, so it doesn't make a lot of sense at all fundamentally. Technically speaking, we can look here at the FTSE. It's the same situation here in the U.S. I'm not picking on Europe. Basically, you're looking here and you're seeing the sell signals we got right here, okay, and we're still at that same level. Another sell signal here, all right, one yesterday and an even bigger one today. We did see a higher intraday high today, showing that there's still fight this market, and you'll notice she's actually not breaking down. But the signals are already there, and that the chart always justifies the signals, okay? You are showing a downtrend here at the same time you're showing an uptrend between these 2 points here on the highs and the closes. So ultimately you're getting the sell signal, and like I said before, you've got that bearish wedge or rising wedge pattern, and this is a sell signal. Expect this to break out of the bottom there. And also you will notice, if we clean that up a little bit so you can see, and that you actually close below this trend line today, ever so slightly. That's all you need, okay? So I really couldn't find uh, another signal here that told me to sell anymore than I've got right now. I mean, these are major sell signals in play across the board. I was a little bit early here, but you'll notice we haven't actually moved anywhere since then. Ultimately the market's fighting something that it can't maintain. So this is going to break down and go lower. You'll also notice, scrolling on down, we have a bearish crossover of the MACD moving average converged right there and crossed over in bearish form, all right, like you've seen before. So yes, there'd be no reason to be a buyer here. Okay, here we are looking at the NASDAQ. This one is one of the worst looking charts I've seen in a long time. You've got the bearish divergence formation here, which is now in play. Note the downtrend of the upward momentum. It's losing strength. At the same time, price activity continued to move higher. That's a lie, not worthy of buying there. And you've got a bearish formation, bearish engulfing signal as of today, as well as having a close below this upward trend line we're talking to you about, telling you to keep an eye on here. You had it pierce previous to breaking down, which is common. It's just an early warning sign that it's going to break down. And then here you've closed below it. So it has in fact broken down and on good sell volume. Look below. You notice today's sell volume, or today's volume, is on the sell side, and it is substantially greater than the previous little bit of buying that you saw there. And that's important to note. Whenever you get in the top, you want to see that. That's the one thing we were missing before. Back up here, we weren't seeing that substantial selling really picking up there. I mean, it was there, just not strong enough. We'd like to see it really pick up pretty good at the sell points, and that's the peaks. And so that's exactly what we're seeing there. No reason to see this as being anything other than the rolling over the peaking signal we're looking for. We also filled the rest of this gap. We had half of this gap still remaining. It filled today with a high intraday gap up that we had this morning, and filled it with a new high, and then moved lower. So we do believe this has been filled. Well, we know it's filled, and we do believe this is actually the peak that you're seeing here. So we like what we're seeing here from a bear standpoint. You also notice the bearish divergence that we showed you on the slow stotch is also confirmed by the RSI. The MACD histograms, which are not as timely as the RSI and the slow stotch, but in any event, they're all across the board, and we're getting a tightening up of these moving averages here, which are preparing for that bearish crossover like that. So any move to the upside would just be a easy short. And all these gaps here you've got, we had one today that didn't stick, but let me show you. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and they're big. There's 6 right there, 7 here, and there's 1 back here you can't see right now. We'll show it to you on a longer term chart probably on Friday. But either way, all these gaps are problematic. They end up getting filled just as this one did, just as this one did, just as this one did. Okay, this one here is not the same thing as it's on substantial sell volume there. Whenever they're on really strong sell volume, the gaps do not have to fill short term. They can be years before they fill. So not the same thing there. But here we have lots of low volume gaps that are going to actually get filled. So any activity you saw to the upside in September will actually be erased. Big surprise, right? Okay, going to be looking for this to be the top. If we fight a little more, they can always do that. I never like to say this is the exact peak, but these have all the signals you would look for. I mean, there's absolutely nothing from a technical perspective that is missing here. You've got the bearish divergence, you've got the increased sell volume, you've got the sell signals, you've got the gaps, you've got the break of the trend line, you have the pierce of the trend line before the break of the trend line. You have it all, okay? So yeah, be a bear. Okay, quick look at the S&P 500 before we look at the Canada markets, but you'll notice here a bearish divergence formation here. All right, you've got the sell signal, the shooting star formation there. The only thing we do not have here is this uptrend line that we've been watching. It has pierced at this point, but I don't think it's quite close below it. I mean, it's right on the line there, and volume is not all that strong, but ultimately the signals are already there. So if this is not the exact peak, you'll be looking for it. Any move to the upside with that bearish divergence in play would just be a short. You're also going to notice on the S&P 500, you've got the tightening of these two moving averages preparing for that bearish crossover and the confirmation of the bearish divergence from the RSI. Okay, all signs point south. Okay, TSX here. We're looking at Canada. You can see we have a hangman or hanging man candlestick formation. It's a sell signal. You'll also notice there's lots of good sell volume behind this move at this point and higher. Okay. Okay. Yeah, lots of good sell pressure there. We'd like to see that this is equal to the selling we saw here back in this time period, and the selling is still there and increasing. And look for this thing to break down right here. This is known as a bearish wedge or a uh, rising wedge, and in any event, they ultimately fail. They can play around in there for a while, but ultimately they're going to break through that bottom of that right there. Okay, nothing bullish about that. Again, I'm not short in Canada. They've done better with their finances than we did here in the U.S., but it is important to note you are toppy, and if you look at the slow stots, you are above the 80 line, which we're telling you look to cover, get out of your long positions and start looking for short opportunities. If you've not been to our free website at perfectstockalert.com, it's right there. It's 100% free. All we ask in return, please refer a friend. A quick look at our disclaimer. The disclaimer, read it and weep. I'd like to thank everybody for your support of this free service. You've really been sharing our videos online, referring your friends, and we appreciate that. Thank you very much. If you haven't already subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do that. It helps us stay free and doesn't cost you anything. Thank you very much for showing your support. I'd like to see everybody in our live trading course on Monday morning. God bless. Take care. See you then.